Hello, cricket and baseball fans. Toronto Blue Jays are hosting Cricket Night at the Park presented by TD this Friday, May the 10th. Experience the same thrill of cricket with the Blue Jays at Rogers Centre and get yourself a white Blue Jays cricket hat. T20 World Cup champion, remember the name, Carlos Brathwaite will be there, the Canadian cricket team will be there, and many more exciting guests as well. There will be lots of cricket-related activities like batting cages and cricket-themed photo ops, as well as the T20 World Cup being unveiled at the event. Don't miss out on this wonderful event. Bring your family, bring your friends. Tickets can be found at bluejays.com/cricket or in the links below. See you guys there. Want to hear something funny? This is a company that Pakistan team finds itself in. Ready? Bangladesh, Namibia, Netherlands, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. Can you guess what this company is?
These are the teams who have not announced their squad for the T20 World Cup.
Correct. Beautiful company to be in. Welcome to Backward Point Podcast. My name is Nasser Sayed, and this is an episode about why Pakistan didn't release their squad. Today we're talking about all the other squads announced thus far, and with me, as always, my brother and co-host, Bashar Sayed.
It's like Pakistan finds themselves with the backbenchers. Remember that scene in Three Idiots where they're checking the notice board for the results? And then one of them says, "Is this Chakkar?"
Yeah.
And they gotta check from the bottom up.
Yeah, that's where Pakistan
And that's what Pakistan is.
And some would call it strategic. Some would call it, the Naqvi effect, where we're coming in, we're changing the game, we're blowing out the checklist, and we're starting anew. Or some would just call it clear, just indecisiveness. We don't know where we're going. We don't know where we're headed.
I disagree with you. This is strategic.
Oh,
This is not letting your opponent know your next move.
No, this is not letting your opponent know your next move, and not even yourself knowing your next move, just in case they catch a hint. It's like on the day. Babar's famous press conference slogan, on the day. So find out on the day.
Definitely on the day.
Yes. Before that, something that is definitely a constant in our podcast is our Patreon family. We're excited to be supported by our patrons and on Patreon. We have a thriving community of lovable and admirable cricket fans who just gets getting bigger and bigger every week, man. Honestly, people are joining in and we love it. I know it's the World Cup season. People want to tune in and see what we have to say, our personal thoughts, live call-ins, all that good stuff. So if you want to check that out, the links are in the description below. We will also be at the 2024 T20 World Cup, especially the New York leg. We might be catching some games, some BTS, meeting some players, saying hi to some people that we know, some people that have been on this pod before. You never know. So
if anybody has tickets for the World Cup in New York, please
reach out. If you are a company that is sponsoring the World Cup, if you want two brown dudes from Toronto to come in, support your brand and support Pakistan versus India, reach out to us, please.
And this is also for the people who are asking me for World Cup tickets. I don't have tickets myself, guys.
Yeah, people think we have tickets. Just you have Shadab Khan on the podcast is people think you have like a direct connection to the PCB. That's not the case, guys. We are equally as hungry for Pakistan India tickets as you guys are. Also, Pakistan Canada tickets. I want to support my boys, my local boys there as well. So, the last thing, always check out the Discord. It's absolutely free. If the Patreon might be a little bit too pricey for you, please don't break the bank. Just, letting you guys know.
Someone joined yesterday and they said, I joined this Discord community so I can vent about cricket.
Exactly. So you could do that on the Discord if that's something
exactly
that
why you made it.
Totally. And I love that that's our motto. Anyways, moving on to the main course of this podcast. We have 15 teams out of 20 that have announced their World Cup squad. I know the team that you are most excited to discuss is Papua New Guinea. We will get to them, Bashar. You got to hold your horses on that. But we will go in a strategic order from the reviews that you have laid out before us in our notes. Again, notes available at the Patreon. We haven't been posting them recently, but we'll get back to it. I think the notes are an important, vital part of what we have there to offer on the Patreon, so you guys can check that out as well. Okay, anyways, let's just jump into the first team you have on board here. Any preliminary thoughts before we do that, or should we just dive right in?
Let's dive right in. If you look at the Australian team, is where we're going to start off this review with. The most shocking thing you see up front is that Pat Cummins, ODI World Cup winner, World Test Championship winner captain, is no longer Australia's T20I captain. It's been given to Mitch Marsh. Now, I was just thinking, can that ever happen with any team in the subcontinent. Like, could Pakistan do that or India do that? Imagine like Rohit Sharma or Babar Azam winning an ODI World Cup or a World Test Championship, and then suddenly the cricket board takes the T20I captaincy from you and it gives it to somebody else and you're playing just as a player. I think the answer to that is no. I just think the Australian cricket board and their team is so advanced, they realize that it's not worth Pat Cummins' workload, his effort to be playing meaningless T20I bilateral series. And instead, what's more important for the stamp of authority he's going to leave on the game of cricket is Pat Cummins focusing on red ball cricket, taking as many test wickets as he can, winning test matches, winning World Cups, focusing on ODIs, a longer form of the game. And this decision, I think, just helps manage Pat Cummins' workload.
I think I agree with you. It definitely a ballsy move, a very Australian move from Australia's part, no less. I think another ballsy move that they had was not including Jake Fraser McGurk, who's just having a ball-out IPL. I follow it from time to time, and that name keeps coming up. Firstly, the guy has 2 last names. That's itself extremely ballsy. Secondly, this man is just batting his mind out in the IPL, and no mention of it at all. The Australian chief selector was like, "This is something that he was not in our plans. We don't want to rush him. This is our 15-man squad. We're gonna back these boys. We're gonna head out over to that." Contrast to what happened with Usman Khan, I think it's a very quote unquote, and no pun intended, but very stark reality of 2 different boards and how they operate. Just Pat Cummins taking away his giving away his captaincy again. Would Babar do that? No, he actually did the complete opposite. So you can see the spectrum, and Pakistan is on one end and Australia is on the other, and we'll see who comes out victorious in that battle.
I also heard Jake on the Willow Talk podcast, and he said that he's totally fine with being omitted from the World Cup squad because he wasn't part of the plans, and he's performed mainly in the IPL. And, IPL performances don't necessarily mean performances in T20 World Cup for Australia. So he was like, I'm totally fine. He's young. He understands that he has a long way to go. So, unlike what would happen in Pakistan, players might be having paid media campaigns, PR campaigns through journalists, through bots. Jake is coming out and saying he accepts that decision and he understands that it's for the betterment of the Australian team and his own future.
What is interesting for me in this squad is that they're not really going spin heavy. Australia. I think they have Zampa. Who else did they got here?
Travis Head can
ball out spin. Yeah, but again, Zampa is the only recognized spinner. Travis Head part-time.
Ashton Agar left arm spin.
Those are the 3 that they're taking. Basically, everybody else they're going with another all fast balling all around squad. We got the likes of Stoinis in there. Glenn Maxwell can spin it a little bit as well, to be honest. Pat Cummins is in there, definitely. Hazelwood, Cameron Green. They're going with their pace heavy attack, something that they've been backing up for a while. That proved successful at the 2023 ODI World Cup. They're just making that, staying with that guard and then moving it forward. I think that's really cool, actually, to see that the team is going on their strengths and not just what the conditions may offer them. I don't know how it'll pay off, but nice to see.
I was shocked to see Matthew Wade still in the squad because they've got Josh Inglis there. He's also a wicketkeeper batsman. Matthew Wade, I just have a lot of trauma just by hearing his name.
Yeah, we did a whole T20 rewind recently, and yeah, we had to live through that again. You guys can check that out. The podcast right before this is the one that we just did, and wow, yeah.
But depending on what team Australia plays, it just seems like they have a lot of batting depth.
Mm-hmm.
They've got finishers in the shapes of Tim David. Mitch Marsh can strike pretty quickly up top with David Warner. Glenn Maxwell, one of the greatest T20 batsmen. I think he's going to be an important player for them in this World Cup because he plays spin really well. He plays sweep shots, the reverse sweep shots. He's got all the shots in the book. So looking forward to see what Australia does. Another sort of surprising omission from this team was Steve Smith. It seems like they've moved on from Steve Smith in this format, who has average T20 stats. I was just looking at his numbers on Cricinfo, and he's played 67 T20s. He has 1,094 runs at an average of just under 25 and a strike rate of 125.4. So it seems like they don't want an anchor in their top 3 or top 4, and they're going for a bit of more young blood, some more of an attacking approach up top.
Yeah, totally. I think they're looking at what they can maximize on and what their strengths are, and they're making sure that they capitalize on that. I think it's a good move. It'll be sad to see no Steve Smith, definitely, but you gotta do what you gotta do for the cup, bro.
Currently, we're seeing him on Star Sports, and it's baffling when I see the AI stuff that's going on, where Steve Smith is like speaking Hindi and Tamil. I was like, bro, what is going on?
I mean, it works, and pretty soon this podcast will be in 7 different languages as well, because man, people want that backward point sauce.
Backward point in Spanish.
There we go.
Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast.
Moving on to the England squad, the defending champions of the last T20 World Cup. Now, the biggest news of the England squad is that Jofra Archer is back. Jofra Archer, who is one of the most exciting talents in world cricket. We've missed him for the past few years. He's had multiple injuries in his elbow. He hurt himself through his aquarium that broke at his home. He cut himself. But now he's finally back. He is working towards getting international match fitness. We saw some clips of him bowling in a club match in West Indies.
In Barbados, yeah.
And just demolishing the batsmen who are club cricketers.
I want to talk to you about that because you took offense to that when I was like, well, that's a very impressive thing. And you were like, man, it's like if Hazem Khan came in Markham Premier League and just like demolished us. I'm like, man, taking wickets at any level is impressive. Who was that guy who scored like 600 runs in the first class in the Ranji Trophy or something? Was it Prithvi Shaw?
Prithvi scored. He
500
had a pretty big partnership, I think.
Yeah, and like people were like, "Oh, that's like a Ranji Trophy." I'm like, "That's first class cricket, man. That's even if it was a lesser side in first class cricket, to be able to stay there for that long in any form of cricket is impressive." So Jofra coming back,
He took 3 wickets against a club
and
team.
he also scored 50, bro, in like 36
Bro,
balls.
Naseem Shah scored a 70. You remember that match where he opened the inning
And
before
Naseem Shah
the
is
PSL?
a certified star. What are you talking about?
Star Shah.
Yeah, what are you talking about, bro? Naseem Shah is a certified superstar, and I would say very close to becoming a batting all rounder. Like I'm all
batting all rounder.
I'm all in it. Yo, have you seen the side by sides of Naseem Shah and Imran Khan? Have you seen these memes?
No,
Okay, so you're not on the part of Twitter where I am. I'll send you that stuff.
you're the dark side.
I'll send you the data, bro. It's uncanny.
Come back to reality.
It is uncanny. Like even Imran Khan in the start of his career was not a batsman. He pivoted. And I know Shaheen is trying to make that turn. I know we're totally gone away from the English squad. But last point from this sidebar. I know Shaheen is trying to make that turn. I think Naseem is trying to make that turn as well. And you know what? The more the merrier. The deeper the depth is in Pakistan's batting, the more I'm relaxed that this team might do something.
10 runs to chase the last over. Do you send in Naseem Shah or Shaheen Afridi?
At this point, I'd probably send in Shaheen, but talk to me in 12 months. We'll see.
Cool. We'll come back to this. Yeah, so Jofra is back. Exciting because these are his home conditions. He is from Barbados. So it's actually funny. I was just hearing the Wisdom Cricket podcast, and they were talking about how the English Cricket Board, they understand that Jofra's home is the West Indies. So they manage him being in the West Indies and then being in England. They're managing his workload. They're tracking his bowling, his fitness. And he's in and out of England and West Indies, living here and there. Hassan Khan.
I have a question for you. This English squad, does it threaten you?
The thing with the English squad is that you never really know which English squad is going to show up. Either they can demolish you and score 220, or they could be bowled out for 60.
No, like, but on paper, this is like, oh my god, I'm terrified from these people. Or you're like, I think this team won't go that far, judging on it, because it's a very repetitive team from their 2022 win.
If anything, they've actually gotten 2 really good additions in this squad. Well, the first one is Jofra Archer coming back, and then Chris Jordan coming back into this T20 squad. Both of them who are from the Caribbean. So they will know the conditions. They add strengths to their pace attack. Adil Rashid is there, who is now a veteran in leg spin for English cricket.
I think we should do this. Let me just add a little caveat. From every single team, tell me the player that you want to see, like you're most excited to see. Like from
like the players to watch out?
Yeah, like not players to watch out, but you as Bashar and me as Nazar, excited to see these players in the T20 World Cup. Like from Australia, Glenn Maxwell, the 2023 World Cup he just had, and then this is his format. Love to see him and see what he does. And then in this squad, the English squad, Adil Rashid is my guy. I feel like as a leg spinner, I'm getting more in tune with the art of leg spin. I'm like the more that I learn the different variations, the more that I learn how to drop it in one single box and like turn from there, break it out and then that straighter one from that same area, the more I respect the greats like Adil Rashid, Shane Warne, and
Usman Qadir.
Usman Qadir, yes. And his dad, of course. And even Shahid Afridi, like the way that these guys would like use that little, off stump box and break it from there and bring it in. I have so much respect. Adil Rashid on those West Indian pitches, as well as does England have any games in the US?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, right? But like those West Indian pitches, when they break, like you said in a previous pod, when you were playing against the West Indian team, you could just put a nickel there and they'd break it. They just use that area and just go at you
That's
aggressively.
shoebox length.
Honestly, I'd love to see Adil Rashid do that and see how he does it. Because honestly, there is one moment in this cricket lore that I go back to all the time. 2019 World Cup, Adil Rashid versus Virat Kohli. Just, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody.
I don't think it was at the World Cup. It was in an ODI series. You're talking about the bowls he got.
Yeah, where he was wearing a hat and he just
that wasn't a World Cup. I think it was just a regular bilateral series.
But it's one of those things where every time I see it, it's just I love it. Comes on my feed quite often. You can tell what my algorithm looks like. But it's just one of those things like Virat Kohli's reaction to that tells you everything you need to know about the bite in Adil Rashid's spin when it's happening for him. And if the pitch is in his favor, then it's a game over for everybody.
For me, I think in the Australian team, I'm excited to see Pat Cummins because it's sort of like he's conquered every territory he's played cricket in: India, Australia, England, and West Indies is going to be a new space where I'm going to be seeing him bowl. And just as a pace bowler myself, I would love to see how he adapts to those conditions and how he performs there. From the English squad, the most exciting player that I'm looking forward to see is their captain, Jos Buttler. I think he is a terrific opener. He is such a calm person, and I love to see the impact he makes up top in the batting order. He really utilizes the power play. He's a very smart captain. But I think aside from Buttler, I would love to see how Jofra Archer comes back. I would be monitoring his speeds when he's bowling in. I think everybody who's faced Archer has said that it seems like he's just jogging in. And in the end, he just snaps his wrist, his bowling action, and the ball zooms at you. And one of my favorite bits to watch on YouTube is his spell against Australia in the 2019 Ashes at Lords. It's just rapid bowling. It is fast bowling at its peak. That's what Wasim used to do. That's what Waqar Younis used to do. That's what Shoaib Akhtar was all about, Brett Lee. So Jofra Archer just has that mean dog in him. And I think him playing cricket internationally, it's good for the game.
I think this definitely happened in the 2019 World Cup, so you guys don't have to fact check me on that. But the Bangladesh game where he, I forget who he...
Soumya Sarkar,
who he bowled, and then the ball flew over the fence for a 6. That's peak cricket.
That's peak cricket.
But you kind of cheated. You need one guy. You chose 3 there.
Butler.
All right, fair enough. No Ben Stokes in this team, by the way.
No, Ben Stokes has opted out.
He was vital in that win against Pakistan in that final in the last tournament.
He anchored the final, but it was important that he stays there till the end because he's got the nerves and just one of the greats of this era.
Yeah, honestly. So we'll miss him in that World Cup, but you know what? Ben Stokes, you got to do what you got to do. Get some more red ball games in there and win some more games for the Bazzies. The next team is a very important team to discuss, and I think we'll skip them over. No, I'm just kidding. It's Team India with Rohit Sharma captaining again, and Hardik Pandya as the official VC announced. Interesting. What they the baton is already sort of being passed over to the new generation. And
some will say Mumbai Indians are a step ahead.
Mumbai Indians are definitely ruling this Indian team, especially with the horrendous IPL they've had. Like, it's just honestly
because they've given the captaincy to Hardik, and
in the IPL,
Rohit is playing as a player, which I guess he might be enjoying it just because he can just take a step back, focus on chilling and playing just as a batsman.
Or it could be a Karachi King situation where they don't talk anymore, like Imad and Babar.
True.
So you never know.
I don't think Rohit has much left in his career. Like, this might be his last T20 World Cup.
You think an announcement is coming?
Well, either you announce it or they take you out. But I think India has been pretty good the past few players who have left. Actually, I'm trying to double think that.
How badly does India have to perform for the BCCI to do to Rohit what they did to Virat?
Well, the same result has to happen, which
Yeah.
is them not qualifying the first, like making past the first round, which is highly unlikely because their group has Pakistan, India, Ireland, Canada, US.
Hoping for a Canadian upset for my boys. Gotta respect them. Gotta support them. But at the same
Saad
time,
Zafar arm ball to Rohit
Yeah.
Sharma gets
yo,
him
the
out.
media stuff that the team Cricket Canada is churning out right now. Like I'm enthused.
The
So-
major news from the Indian team is that they've got a new top order. Shubman Gill has been left out, and
Insane news, by the way.
they've opted for Yashasvi Jaiswal to open with Rohit Sharma. He is a left-handed batsman, a childhood prodigy, who there should be a movie on his life because he literally came from nowhere. He came to Mumbai to pursue cricket. He was living with his uncle. His uncle kicked him out. He was living in tents in Mumbai. He was bullied around and eventually rose up the ranks. And literally his life, he lives, breathes cricket. Terrific opener, terrific player of spin. Somebody who, like, he is, okay, no comparison. I was going to say a bad spin for Pakistan, who's a lefty opener, but he's an exciting talent.
Zoya Akhtar was just taking notes as soon as you started telling his biography, and in 3 years you'll see a Ranveer Singh star Jaiswal biopic with Alia Bhatt in it.
It's gonna happen. It's happen.
happening right now, bro.
He is destined for greatness, and he's been having a great IPL as well.
The first time I heard about Jaiswal was in the. You guys can check this out. Actually, the podcast that I did with Shayan Sayed, Shayan Plays Cricket. He was the first person who told me about Jaiswal. I was like, bro, this guy's insane. I'm like, who? And that was last year, I believe. So, Shayan, if you're listening, always ahead of the curve. Jaiswal is one person that I'm looking forward to. I saw glimpses of him in the IPL. Again, don't follow the IPL as I should, but here we are. And excited to see what happens there.
So far, he scored 320 runs at an average of 32 and a strike rate of 157.6.
These are IPL stats?
So that's showing his current form. He's also played for India directly, so he has some international experience. And his international T20 stats are 502 runs at an average of 33.4 and strike rate of 162. 1 century, 450s.
Extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. Let's see if they're able to translate this into the international.
Because I think India was struggling up top the last two T20 World Cups. Like KL Rahul wasn't performing as he should have.
And they're persistent with him still.
They gave him a lot of chances. He even, changed his batting order. They were trying to fit him in the middle order somewhere. But I think they're going for some young blood. But I mean, you can see the amount of talent that India has with the fact that Shubman Gill is in the reserves.
Or this just shows how bad of a year Shubman Gill is having in T20s. Could say that too. I mean, it's honestly, Indian selectors are vicious when it comes to this. If you're not performing, turn up to the mark, genuinely they have people waiting to take your spot, and it shows. That doesn't mean this is the end of Shubman Gill. I don't think so. Especially with the next few years where Rohit's going to be retiring and VK's going to be retiring. They're going to need Shubman to step up and take the charge. But at this moment, they're going another route, which is interesting. Speaking of Kohli, is this his last T20 World Cup?
Given his fitness, probably not. But every World Cup that comes around, there's talks in the Indian media that Virat Kohli should not be picked. India should go for young bloods. But I'll just take you back to the game against Pakistan, the last T20 World Cup. There's no batsman in the world, not just India, but the world, who could have played the innings he played. He is a man who shows up in every ICC event, clutch performer. He knows not just how to build his own innings, but get the other person to play as well. Like, he's at that point in his career. And it baffles me that there's even conversations around Virat Kohli being benched in the Indian team. I think as long as he's fit, as long as he wants to play, as long as he's enjoying his own game, he should be part of every Indian team for major events at least.
Virat Kohli leagues ahead of Babar Azam. Such a dynamic player, but he is plagued with the same criticism that Bobsy the King is. Strike rates. And I think it's such an interesting comparison. People get really upset with both of those fan bases when they come to defend them. There may be some merit to those criticisms. I'm not sure. at the end of the day, Virat Kohli is a match winner. Virat Kohli is that clutch beast. Would you take a 36-year-old Kobe in your team over a rookie? All day, every day. Because that guy's Kobe. So
Currently,
Virat Kohli is the Kobe.
VK is the highest run scorer in the IPL, scores 542 runs at an average of 68 and strike rate of 148.
And his team is in the bottom of the table. So, a lot can be going wrong with the RCB, but one thing's not.
Well, even his international T20I strike rate is 138. So he is by no means an anchor.
Yeah. He can turn it on.
He can
turn it on. Anything else that stands out in the Indian team? I like to see that. I'd love to see Arshdeep Singh bowl. I love his action. I love his swing. I'm excited to see him against Pakistan. The one thing that reminds me of him just straight off the bat is when he dropped the dolly against Pakistan in that Asia Cup match.
But then he also came back and balled some really good Yorkers in that match.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's a champ. He has a warrior mindset, and he comes in and he doesn't let stuff like that bother him.
My previous favorite Indian bowler was Bhuvneshwar Kumar because just of his wrist position.
His I don't know where this was going.
His wrist position, his in-swing, outswing, the control he has, and just the way he increased his pace by at least 10 kilometers from when he made his debut to when he was playing for India last. And I look up to him. Like I study his wrist position. I see how he releases the ball, how he gets it straight down. And now Arshdeep Singh is one of my favorite bowlers because like the amount of control he has on the new ball, swinging it in and out at the same pace, same action, exciting talent. I think a big news for India is that Rishabh Pant is finally back.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
in the World Cup squad. They had him go through rehab, fitness training, and now he's back in the IPL where he's been scoring runs, and he's finally picked in the Indian squad. Now, there are still questions around, is Rishabh Pant World Cup ready? And secondly, he has yet to translate his talents in the white ball format. So not just T20s, but even ODIs. He hasn't performed as to what Rishabh Pant's potential, if you may say, is.
Yeah, he was in that 2021 game, and not really a star performer in that game against Pakistan, the 152-0 game. I'm excited to see him back. His arc has also been very hopeful, very optimistic, and I wish him the best. I think Rishabh Pant is a story that people can learn from. When you get down on your dumps. It doesn't have to be the end. It just could be the start of something different. And Rishabh has definitely been emulating that sentiment ever since he's been back. One person that scares the bejesus out of me is Yadav in West Indies in drop-in pitches. He's going to be tough. No, Kuldeep Yadav.
Oh, Kuldeep Yadav.
Sorry, Kuldeep Yadav.
Surya Kumar Yadav is also.
Fair enough, but I would have said Sky. Yeah, I don't even know his full name, but I know that Sky is Sky. You know what I mean? Yeah, Kuldeep Yadav.
And then his buddy is back.
Kai. Kuldeep Yadav.
Kuldeep's buddy, Chahal, is back. So the Kulcha combo is back.
Gulcha, I mean, I get the Kulcha thing, but that's firstly a horrible name. Secondly, Chahal doesn't scare me as much as Yadav. I don't know, maybe it's the whole way that he's sort of been dominating the Pakistani team. Maybe it's the way that Rizwan and Babar played against him in the 2023 World Cup. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm genuinely terrified.
He's had the better of Babar on a few occasions.
Many times.
2018 Asia Cup, 2019 ODI World Cup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a tough bowler. And
Didn't he get him out also in the 2023 World Cup as well? No, that was Pandya. Never mind. Pandya got him out, right?
It was Siraj, actually.
Siraj got him out when he was cutting the third man for a single,
Correct.
It could be anybody. Bottom line is Babar dumped it.
I think if Babar doesn't attack Kuldeep Yadav, he's going to get out again.
Yeah. If Babar doesn't attack Kuldeep Yadav...
If he lets Kuldeep ball to his length and his flights and his field, nothing's going to happen. You got to sweep him. You got to reverse sweep him. Exactly what Travis had did in the final of the World Cup.
All I'm saying is nothing changes if nothing changes. And if Babar doesn't attack Kuldeep Yadav, then we know where he stands.
Hello, cricket and baseball fans. The Toronto Blue Jays are hosting Cricket Night at the Park, presented by TD this Friday, May 10th. You get to experience cricket with the Blue Jays at the Dodger Center and get a chance to win a white Blue Jays cricket hat. T20 World Cup champion Carlos Brathwaite, remember the name is going to be there alongside the Canadian cricket team and many more exciting guests. And yes, the T20 World Cup trophy itself will be unveiled at the event. There's going to be many cricket-related activities. such as batting cages, photo ops. So make sure you bring out your friends and family. Don't miss out on this wonderful night. Tickets can be found at bluejays.com/cricket. We hope to see you guys there. Chahal coming back was surprising for me because India had been investing in Ravi Bishnoi, who was an under-19 prodigy, someone who balls at good pace, has an incredible googly, and there was criticism on him being picked over Chahal last World Cup in the last few series, but suddenly now Chahal is back. I think Chahal just crossed, he's the only spinner who has taken 200 wickets in the IPL. So big accomplishment. But it seems like India is going back to experience in the World Cup. So that was a bit surprising for me.
Is that their Hassan Ali moment?
Perhaps.
Well, we'll see how that pans out for Team India. Anything else before we move to the next team?
Yeah, India's got a new finisher. Well, they've had a few options for finishers. There was Rinku Singh and Shivam Dube, but they've gone for Shivam Dube over Rinku Singh. Rinku, who I think I personally would have preferred, just because his match finishing ability, his six hitting ability, you can compare it to Dube, but I just prefer Rinku Singh personally.
Man, I cannot take Rinku Singh seriously. With that name, he sounds so cute. Firstly, and secondly, it reminds me of every time anybody talks about Rinku Singh, it reminds me of that Just Rain skit where he talks about Tinku San, and it's like, how do I ever get over this? Now, this is a me problem. I'm pretty sure vast majority of the world is completely fine with it, but it just takes me out of the cricket, like just now.
There's a funny moment with Rinku Singh. He had an opportunity to speak to MS Dhoni after one of the post-match games in the IPL. And he was asked in an interview, you spoke to MS Dhoni, what sort of guidance did he give you? Because he was talking to you for a few minutes. And Rinku says, I forgot. He says that I was just so amazed at being in conversation with Dhoni that I zoned out and I forgot what he was saying. So I cannot recall the content of that conversation.
Imagine like Dhoni just dropping, this is how I won the World Cup in 2007. This is how I won the World Cup in 2011. This is what you're going to do. This is the heights you're going to get. And Rinku is just zoned out because he's like in awe of the greatness next to him. Like honestly, same in the Islamabad United podcast a few times. Like I was just listening to Heather Ali and I was like, he was talking about his comeback and trying to make it back into the team. I just, for a second, like at least for 60 seconds, zoned out and I was like, you played in the 2021 World Cup, bro. And in the 22 World Cup. You were there at Sydney when Virat Kohli demolished us. And I was just like...
MCG.
Yeah. Sorry, and MCG when Virat Kohli demolished us. And I was like, this is the guy. And it took me out of the interview for 60 seconds. And then after a while, I was like, okay, yeah, what's going on? And you were taking notes. So I just copied off of you. But yeah, I get it, Rinku. Like I totally get it.
I think India is going to have a pretty good combination because... they have Hardik Pandya, who I've said multiple times on this podcast is a cheat code. India can play 2 seamers and 3 spinners, or they can play 2 seamers plus Hardik Pandya, and they have Akshar Patel, who is a batting all-rounder, and they have Jadeja, who is a bowling all-rounder, and they have Kuldeep Yadav, who's a left-arm unorthodox bowler. They have Yuzi Chahal as well. So it seems like they have all the boxes covered, and if needed, ever, they can get some overs out of Shivam Dube. So it's an interesting squad, but when I've spoken to my Indian friends, the consensus that I've gained is that they've told me on personal note that this is not a T20 World Cup winning squad, and they have no expectations from this team.
Why not?
They're just saying that this is not the right combination to be playing in the West Indies, and they don't believe in this team.
At least your friend circle.
My friends.
Okay. Well, definitely your friend circle is going to be definitely attacked in the comment section below. And you know what? I will like all those comments. If you guys have anything to say personally about Bashar's friends, let us know in the comments.
You got to name your exciting player of this Indian team.
Apart from VK, which is always constant, I think I'll go with Jaiswal. I've heard a lot about him. I haven't seen him as much as I want to. But if there is a time to get into people's notebooks, Breakfast of Champions reference, you know what I mean. This is the time. So Jaiswal, you don't have to prove anything to me, but I would like to see you do some damage in this World Cup.
Same. I was gonna say the same player, but if I have to pick someone else, because you've picked Jaiswal, I would have said Kuldeep Yadav.
Sure, Kuldeep Yadav scares me. Like I said already, we've gone down that road. People say that we don't talk about Team India a lot. I think we gave them a good 10-15 minutes If there's anything else you guys want us to talk about regarding Team India, let us know. We're open to it. People think we deliberately don't talk about them because we may be Pakistan-centric podcast, and that's not just the case. It's just a lot of news, a lot of times it's hard to cover. But yeah, we took the time out and dissected our opinions. The next is going to be Team New Zealand. Williamson is back, sent their D team or E team, whatever you guys want to call Z team, to Pakistan, and people are really upset. But it looks like they're going to send in their full squad into the World Cup. Williamson and Finn Allen and Volty and all those guys are going to be in there, Southey and whatnot. I don't have anything exciting to say about it apart from I am totally underrating them, and they're going to definitely be in the top 4. So do with that what you will.
Imagine having a podcast on New Zealand cricket. Nothing's happening.
There's vibes, bro.
There's like one episode a month.
They're so wholesome. Like, what do you talk about? It'll just be them like just bantering, making jokes. There's nothing going. There's no like villain of New Zealand cricket.
The one change I would say is that Williamson is back as captain. I think last time I checked, Tim Southey was captaining New Zealand, and now he's back, Williamson as captain. So pretty much the same team as what played in the last World Cup. They have limited players. They give them opportunities. They groom them. They invest in them. What can you say?
Nothing.
It's a wholesome team.
It's a wholesome team. Good vibes. Is this Williamson's last World Cup?
No. I think he has time.
Okay. I just want to know. We always hear debates about anchors and strike rates. Never a peep about Williamson, though. I would love to see his.
Because Williamson is clutch when it comes to T20s. Like he scored, I remember the 2021 T20 World Cup final. He scored this crazy 70 odd off like 45 balls. And people are like, okay, this guy plays slow, but when it comes to clutch matches, he demolishes the opposition. Also, he plays around players like Finn Allen. And then in the past, it was Martin Guptill and Brendan McCullum. So even though he was playing slow, he had players who would play at high strike rates around him. And his job was to hold one end safe.
Williamson has 2,500 runs in T20s at an average of 33.96, so 34, and strike rate of 123.6.
An anchor, if an anchor was ever.
If there was a definition of an anchor in the laws of cricket, Williamson and his beard are next to that. I don't know. I don't think he gets much of a career if he's in Pakistan. Or does he?
Well, if he's playing with Finn Allen's strike rate, check Finn Allen's strike rate, I think it's like 150, 160 plus. So if you're playing around Finn Allen, it compensates for Williamson playing the way he plays his game.
You know what's always strikes me is whenever I open these players' data on Cricket Info and I see their birth year and it's like 3 years after I was born, and I'm like, really? It's crazy. Finn Allen, not the most exciting strike rate in ODIs, but in T20s, 163. 163. And he has, in 3 years, more sixes than Ken Williamson. Ken Williamson has 58 in his entire career since 2011 all the way to 2023, 24. And Finn Allen has 77 in 3 years. So do with that as you will.
Who's your most exciting player in this New Zealand squad?
Very interesting. I'm going to go with a fast bowler. I think New Zealand has some exciting talent, especially with Lockie Ferguson and his mustache. I don't know if the mustache will make an appearance or not, but Lockie Ferguson is one that always gives me a little bit of a scare. But Rachin Ravindra, I want to see what he does in the T20 World Cup. A star performer for New Zealand in the ODI World Cup, really got a lot of eyeballs there. Solidified himself as a star for New Zealand, an upcoming star.
Where does he bat? Because you got Devon Conway and Finn Allen opening, one down Kim Williamson. And then you also have Daryl Mitchell and Mark Chapman and Jimmy Neesham. So
maybe he doesn't go straight into the 11. Maybe
and Glenn Phillips.
Maybe he's rotating.
I think in the West Indies it would make sense to play him because he can also ball some handy left arm spin. So if they're playing on a turning track, having Sodhi, Santner, and Ravindra as a bowling option could be helpful. And they also have Michael Bracewell. So. Sure. I mean, it's like they have all their bases covered.
Yeah, very balanced team. Could do wonders, could be their year, or could not. You never know with New Zealand. And you're not surprised. Another team that you can't really tell will do well. They may have the best players of all time. They may have the suckiest team of all time. One thing you can bet on is that they will not go higher than the top 4. That's Team South Africa. Aiden Markram has taken captaincy over from Bavuma from the last tournament. And a lot of new
Wasn't
names.
he your favorite captain?
Bavuma? Man, I love a sleepy captain. I love it. Whenever mans are literally dying on the pitch and my captain is sleeping, that's when I know I have my back. When I go back into the dugout, I won't be yelled at. But there's a lot of new names in this. I don't know who Bartman is. I'm not really familiar with Ryan Rickleton either. Funny name as well, again. But what do you got for me, Prashar?
I think what's going to be critical for South Africa is a player called Henrik Klassen, who has been lighting up the IPL. His T20 numbers the past year or so are phenomenal. His six hitting ability it's up there with some of the great T20 six hitters in modern times. So for him to be able to convert his IPL performances to the World Cup is going to be critical for South Africa's success in this World Cup. I am going to be excited to see their pace attack. They've got players like Ravada, Andrik Norkia is back. Gerald Coetzee is a very exciting young fast bowler who balls close to in the high 140s. So excited to see him play. Quinton de Kock is playing. Quinton de Kock is playing as T20 World Cup.
Didn't he say the last one was his last? 2022?
I think his ODI World Cup was his last.
I get this confused all the time.
Yeah.
What the ODI World Cup was last? That was his farewell tour, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I guess he can play more T20s.
And franchise leagues.
For sure. That's probably why he took the retirement. One thing is very interesting to me in South Africa, has nothing to do with cricket. The two brown guys in their team have the most royal names of all time, Tabraiz Shamsi and Keshav Maharaj. I think that's insane to me. Like, if this was like a Sanjay Leela Bansali, like epic directed by him and starring by him, this is the type of names that he'd probably pull out of a hat and name their main characters. I just think that's always fascinating that these two, Maharaj and Shamsi, are the two.
And they're both spinners.
Both spinners, the two spinners. Two brown dudes, two spinners in South Africa have the most outrageous names. But yeah, good for them. I think did they make it to the top 4? I don't know, man. I can never put the money on it. They might choke. They might lose to Netherlands. That'll be an interesting. That'll be an interesting game. Honestly, I will be following that ball to ball. You know, you guys think that I'm bluffing here, but honestly, the South Africa Netherlands beef, it's raw, and I need it. I need more of that.
Moving on to the host team, West Indies. Oh, do we say who our most exciting player is? In the
No, we did. I haven't said it for the South African team. You know what? I have no idea who Ryan Rickleton is, but I'm excited by the commentators saying his name many times. So, Rickleton, you got my vote.
And I'm going to go with the recency bias. Henrik Klassen is going to be my player to watch out for this World Cup from South Africa. Now, moving on to the West Indies team, the host team. Now, people will be thinking that because it's their home ground, they'll be playing at an advantage. They might, go through the top 4. West Indies is a mercurial team, 2-time champion. But I'll just remind you guys that the last World Cup which happened in West Indies, the West Indies team could not make it past the Super 8 in 2010. And the ODI World Cup which happened, they also could not go past the Super 8, which was in 2007.
Brian Lara's last World Cup.
Correct. So
was that Shiv Chandrabhu's last World Cup as well?
No, Shiv played in 2011.
Okay.
I remember Pakistan, they got him out in the quarterfinal when we beat them by 10 wickets. So just because they're playing at home doesn't mean that they will be at a high advantage, because history tells us that they haven't performed the best when ICC events have happened at their home.
But I think looking at this 15-man squad, this is the team that I'm genuinely terrified of. They have 10 match winners on their day, and it's just obvious. It's honestly like terrifying to me. If you go down the names of this list, you're just like, oh, this guy could come in, steal the game. This guy could come in, steal the game. From all the way from Robin Powell to literally down to Romario Shepherd and Sherfane Rutherford. What an insane lineup.
Andy Russell and Sherfane Rutherford are two impactful additions to the squad. We've seen them both live at the T20.
Yep.
They single-handedly stole the game away. They have incredible game awareness. They know how to take the game deep. And plus, because they have this insane six-hitting ability, they backed themselves to like chase 20 in the last over.
Honestly, guys, if you guys haven't seen the Montreal Tigers final of the GT20 in 2023,
Yeah.
check it out. It's on YouTube. You'll see the performances of both these guys. Sherfain actually was in the semifinal as well, or the qualifier 3, whatever it was. Insane. He was insane that entire tournament. Andre Russell, the way he pulled up to that final, different beast. And that's when I was like, I think he's making his this is a statement. Come back into the West Indies side. And boy, is he there. Because definitely the last World Cup for him, but he wants to go out with a bang. And he has something to prove. Great fitness. Looked really like, what's the word? Like, he looked sharp. He looked ready to go. Obviously not as fit as he would have been in his 20s and early 30s, but he's in a moment where I feel like he wants to prove himself as he goes out from international cricket, and this is the way. And when someone is that lit up, it's tough to get them down.
I remember in the final post-match conference of the Global T20 final, Andre Russell mentioned that he does like 200 push-ups a day, multiple like 100 sit-ups a day. So he just works mostly on his core strength.
Totally believe it.
And he's got a six-pack. And I asked him in that press conference if he's ready to come back for the West Indies. And he was like, he can't wait.
Yep.
He is looking forward for a callback. And literally the next series got called back into the squad.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, it's actually pretty generous of him playing for the West Indies because, you know, players like Sunil Narine have retired and they've stayed retired, even though Sunil Narine has been having the most insane IPL of all time.
The opening or something?
Second or third highest run scorer and like second or third highest wicket taker. So he's just having a ball. And on top of that, he comes up with a statement saying that he does not have any aspirations for coming out of retirement for the West Indies. And he wishes this team the best of luck.
It's the reverse Amr, honestly. That's what I would say to Sunil Narine. He's living his life up there. Is he actually opening in the IPL?
He is.
Or like one down?
He is. He's been given the job by...
what is he in, KKR?
KKR. He plays for KKR everywhere. I think he plays for the TKR in the CPL. He plays for the LAKR and Major League MLC and then the KKR.
Yeah, like insane.
Right now, he is the fourth highest run scorer. 461 runs at an average of 42, strike rate of 184, 1 century, 350s.
Get those runs, Narayan.
Is he batting well or is the IPL bowling just not up to standards?
Man, I was listening to Butta Fast, shout out Butta Fast, I think yesterday, and they were talking, and Usman was talking about how it's just insane that modern day T20 has shifted from the great players to just like impact players like Sunil Narine. And he sounded worried to me. I don't know if he was worried. I don't want to put, emotions and words in his mouth, but he sounded like this is probably where T20 cricket is headed in the next decade, is that we're just going to have impact players. And we're going to see a lot less of the Virat Kohlis, the Babar Azams, the Williamsons, and more of this sort of play. Because T20 cricket is just becoming more of a Marvel movie. And people want their popcorn, bro. So who's your standout player?
I'm going to go with Andre Russell. He's clutch. When you need him, he fires. He has tremendous six-hitting ability and power. I think he might be the player who turns up for West Indies.
For me, it's Shai Hope. Shai Hope, great. He opens, right?
Yep, top order player.
Great player for West Indies. I think I heard Azam would talk about Shai Hope and how he was in awe of the way that he strikes the ball. And whatever I've seen of Shai, I've always been a fan. I've always loved the way that he bats. And, in at-home conditions, I think he's going to thrive. So that's my pick.
Cool. Going forward to the Afghanistan team, they've got a new captain in Rashid Khan. And I just think we talk about this every single time, but their spin department is probably one of the best in the world. And the conditions in West Indies, as we've heard or we've been told, are going to be dry, humid, churning tracks. So for them to have bowlers like Mujib, Nabi, Rashid Khan himself, and someone like Noor Ahmed, who is a prodigy, not getting enough opportunities for Afghanistan because of their spin bowling trio, but he's still a very sought after pick in all the international leagues in the world.
I think, honestly, this might be Afghanistan's tournament to make it to the top 4. I wouldn't be surprised. Nobody be surprised if that's the case.
When Afghanistan wins now, it's no longer an upset. They comprehensively beat teams. Last ODI World Cup, they beat Pakistan. They almost beat Australia.
Yep. So nobody be surprised if Afghanistan is in the top 4. They have an extremely balanced team, an extremely experienced team. These players play T20 leagues all over the world all the time. And with Rashid Khan, the aggressiveness that he brings in as a spinner, it's just insane to see. You will see a lot of turning tracks in the West Indies and even the US with the drop in system. And you best believe that you'll see Rashid in action, Noor Ahmed in action. And you might see, I've been seeing a lot of weird shots that Rashid's been playing on Instagram. And honestly, if he pulls out even one of those for the T20 World Cup, be scared. Be very scared. So Rashid, he's one of my favorite spinners right now, playing or all rounders, I should say, playing in the World Cricket Circuit. And I'd be extremely happy if they make it through.
Anyone who's played against Rashid has said that he's the toughest to play. I think even Azam said he's played against him and he's kept against him, and both of them have been very challenging tasks. Overall, Afghanistan looked like a good rounded team. They've got some firepower up top with Gurbaz, Najib, who is a good finisher. They've got Azmatul Omarzai, who's a good fast bowling all rounder, and Fazal Haq Farooqi, Naseem Shah's favorite.
Well, we'll see how they pan up if they ever get a chance to meet up in the T20 World Cup. But Afghanistan is looking solid.
Your player to watch out in this Afghanistan side.
Rashid Khan, bro. Obviously, I talked a lot of talk about him, and I think he's going to be one of those players that might be a standout for this because he's due for a really good tournament. It's been a while, and this might be it.
Same. I would have said Rashid as well, but in the off chance that Noor Ahmed gets the game, I would say Noor Ahmed. That's going to be my pick. Now, moving on to
closer to home,
the Canadian cricket team led by our boy Saad bin Zafar, who was on the podcast. The podcast link is here in this time card.
Sure, yeah, we'll put a time card.
So
now you got to do this. I'm not going to do it.
I'll do it. Saad Zafar is leading this team, and there's a lot of familiar faces in this Canadian cricket team. We've got Harsh Thakur, who we have on the podcast as well. Jeremy Gordon, one of the fastest bowlers in Canada. Kaleem Sana, a Pakistan under-19 player who has now moved to Canada, been playing here. Aaron Johnson, a opener batsman from the Caribbean who has moved here, and he's a very attacking top order player. You've got Rayan Khan Pathan, who is a power hitter.
Have you played with any of these guys?
I haven't. No, I think I've done nets with Rayan once.
I feel like you have, yeah.
But we've interacted with these guys frequently. I've played against Saad bin Zafar, actually. Funny story. So the university that I went to, University of Toronto, Scarborough campus, I was the captain of their cricket team. And when I was a student back then, I was also the president of the club. And we organized the first ever students versus alumni match. And Saad bin Zafar is also an alumni of my university, actually the same business program that I went to. And we invited Saad. Saad was very kind enough to come in. He played. I was the captain of the students team. He was the captain of the alumni team.
Wait, so you were the president of your club and the captain of your team?
No conflict of interest.
I'll let the comment section decide that. Next.
I mean, Mohsin Naqvi can appoint himself as the Pakistan captain.
And interior minister.
3 in 1.
There we go. So, no, that's a great story, actually. You won, right?
We won.
You guys beat them,
and Saad gifted us one of his Canada shirts. And after the match, there was this funny moment where he's like, sorry, guys, I only play hardball cricket. I haven't played table. It was a table match. So, I shouted out loud, Saad bhai, you're giving excuses already. And there was like a funny moment there. But
he was a great sport on the podcast.
Right.
Like, went in depth. I think we had some really interesting moments. Talked about his family a lot, the pressures of playing cricket in Canada. And I'm just happy for the guy. He's going to go out there against the Baburs, the Virat Kohlis, and this team. You know what? They might just give one of these big teams a run for their money. And I hope it's India, not Pakistan, but that's just my biases speaking. But honestly, what I'm genuinely looking forward to is the opener, the USA versus Canada game, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Canada might be a little bit of a better team. I know they just got washed out in the T20 series that they played in the US, but Canada, I support them. I think I just like seeing Cricket Canada thrive in any form, and this World Cup will be a great spotlight on this team, the team that we've known for a very long time that can do really well in conditions. And I just hope and pray for them and give them my regards, and we'll be definitely checking out all the games.
I'm just so happy for all these players because, these are full-time employees of companies and they have day jobs and they're part-time cricketers. But this World Cup and them getting the ODI status has given these guys an opportunity to pursue cricket full-time, focus on their fitness, their diet, their batting game, their bowling game. So for a lot of these guys, this might be the highlight of their careers and their lives. So I hope they have a good World Cup. They upset one of the big teams. They beat Ireland, USA, Canada, Pakistan. Not really, but India. Yes, India.
Honestly, in T20, you can't say anything. Zimbabwe came out and beat Pakistan. Netherlands beat South Africa. Yeah, there's always room for these teams to come out and shine. And I hope they do. I really hope that for Team Canada.
Who is your player to watch out in this Canadian team?
Bro, I love the way Harsh plays. That all-rounder spirit that he has. He hits the ball hard. He turns the ball well. He's a very dynamic fielder as well. Would love to see Harsh Thakur. And I would love to see him shine in this World Cup.
I'm going to say Saad Bin Zafar. He's a big match player. He was the man of the match in the first edition's T20's final. I think a lot of guys in this World Cup may not be familiar with his arm ball. Quick, darts it in, swings it in the air sometimes like Imad Wasim. So he's going to be handy both with the ball and with the bat. He's an all-rounder. So I'm looking forward to see how Saad performs. Again, you never really know in these drop-in pitches. These Canadian players, these USA players, they have experience playing in these pitches, in these conditions. So they'll be well equipped. It's just about who handles the pressure better and who can control their nerve.
Totally. Moving on to the US team. Thoughts behind things?
Corey Anderson is in this team. If I did host a podcast on New Zealand cricket, I would be talking about Corey Anderson moving to the USA and now qualifying for the USA cricket team. First heard his name when he broke Shahid Afridi's record of the fastest ODI 100. He went on to play the 2015 ODI World Cup, the 2017 Champions Trophy, and was since then dropped because you can say in a way Jimmy Neesham took over his role as a fast bowling all-rounder who was a power hitter. I think Jimmy bowled quicker than him. He was a better fielder and just quicker, a better run scorer. So Corey Anderson being in the USA team, I think it gives them that one star power that they need. They also have players like Ali Khan, who has played leagues all over the world, got picked in the IPL for KKR. He is a CPL veteran. He was even here in Canada playing the Global T20 for the first couple of seasons. So he's an incredible new ball bowler and a death over bowler who reverse swings the ball, balls at good pace. So two good additions in this Australia USA team.
What I want to know is what visa was given to Corey Anderson. Did he was his immigration application cricket based, or why is he eligible for the US now?
I think he came on a work visa. Maybe they gave him a green card, and now eventually he's qualified to play for them.
Sure.
I don't know the details or the logistics. What I do know is if other players would have qualified, like a lot of Pakistani players have recently moved to the USA. Sami Aslam, Hamad Azam, Noman Anwar, Ehsan Adil. I've even heard Fawaz Alam has moved to the USA. So if they were available or eligible, they would have been in the squad as well, but they're not.
Okay, interesting. I think this might be... Is this the future of international cricket where retired players, or I shouldn't say retired, but sort of players past their prime maybe being looked over by their home board, moving to countries like Canada and the US and Scotland? Maybe that's the vibe that they're seeing. Is that the way forward for these teams?
Honestly, I think USA is the place to be. And I don't think I've ever thought about, I would ever dreamed of saying what I'm saying right now, is that USA is a place to be if you want to play cricket, because they've got the infrastructure, they've got the investment, they've got lots of opportunities, they've got good weather now, a decent infrastructure in place. And there's players
fans are there, big South Asian community.
Correct. There's players like Shayan Jahangir, who was a Pakistan under-19 player who moved to the USA, and he's now eligible to play for them. Stephen Taylor was a player from the Caribbean who has moved to the USA and is now playing there. Milind Kumar is an India Ranji player who moved to the USA, is now in their team.
Shadley Van Schalvik definitely sounds like a Dutch name to me.
Definitely.
Could be someone who played in the Netherlands. I'll just Google this real quick.
I think one of the most interesting omissions from this USA squad is of Unmukt Chand. Unmukt Chand is a former India under-19 World Cup winning captain. He was supposed to be the next Virat Kohli. He scored 100 in the under-19 World Cup final, unbeaten century against Australia. And he was being posed up, branded as the next batsman in the Indian team. There's this funny Pepsi ad he was in where this was shot after he won the World Cup and he was like the main guy for India. Basically, he's in the stadium and he sees a fridge in the senior Indian men's dressing room. And he walks into the dressing room, he grabs a Pepsi, and he's immediately stopped by Dhoni. And Dhoni says, what are you doing in our dressing room? You haven't made it here yet. You don't deserve to be having this Pepsi. And then Suresh Raina comes in, who helps Dhoni bully Unmukt Chand. And finally, Virat Kohli comes in. He's like, bro, you don't belong here. You're young. What is the difference between us and you if you're in our dressing room? So Unmukt takes his time. He's like, the difference is that I can play on your team, but you can't play on mine, because he was in the under-19 team.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's not a bad ad.
So, look at who he was in the midst of.
Yeah, and then
Dhoni, Raina, and Virat Kohli.
Wow, this podcast just took a turn. That is definitely sad. And then he went unpicked in the US team as well. I don't know, man. His age, maybe? What do you think is the factor?
Flop IPL career. He played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons of the IPL. Scored 300 runs at an average of 15 and strike rate of 100, and just scored 150 in his IPL career. Also was not able to consistently perform in the Ranji first class systems. He was very close to playing for India, because at one point he played for India A. He toured India A. He even captained a few matches, but just he wasn't consistent. Like, there's one, if you search for Unmukt Chand, the first thing that's going to come up is Brett Lee demolishing his off stump in the IPL when he's playing for the Delhi Daredevils. And eventually what happened is that Unmukt was being dropped from Delhi's Ranji team. He had a few big injuries, and he decided he's going to move to the USA, pursue his career, playing minor league and major league cricket. He was actually also at the BPL back in February. So
he has a pretty healthy list. A average, 41 average, 75 strike rate, 700s, 32 50s. That's not bad, actually, for someone who might be looking to play white ball cricket for India, but
not good enough, honestly. Like, if you look at stats from Sanju Samson or Sarfaraz Khan, like, you got to have a 60 average and like 100 plus strike rate to play for India. Like, the competition is just fierce.
This goes to show how many unnamed players go missing that we'll never hear about, that may have done exceptional things in the past. Good luck to Unmukt. Just a little spotlight on Shadley. Shadley was born in Cape Town. So that South African Dutch thing that I was talking about comes from there. But yeah, he's played for the US throughout.
You're a player to watch out in the USA squad.
Man, I honestly, let me see the squad again. Corey Anderson, I guess. Ali Khan is a fast bowler, right?
He's a fast bowler.
Thoughts about him?
He's good. I just said he played at the IPL.
He played the G20
He got
as
picked
well?
in the IPL. Didn't play any matches, but CPL veteran. He played for Islamabad United in the PSL.
GG20 as well, I believe.
G20 couple of seasons. So he's a good bowler. He's a good
I would say Corey Anderson and Ali Khan are my guys that I would probably look out for.
Yep, Ali Khan for me.
Now this is where we're sort of coming into territory that is unknown for us. We don't really know much about the Oman team. Don't really know much about the Nepal team. Ireland team, maybe we could talk about a little bit. I know Paul Sterling. He's the captain of the Irish team. Hoping that they do well. Papua New Guinea, your favorite team, Bashar? Do you want to have a deep dive on that alone, solo pod?
Yeah, Ali now is my favorite player.
There we go. Scotland team. I love Scotland as like just a place. It's one of my top destinations forever. I would love to move to Scotland. Edinburgh is the city of my heart. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope Scotland does really well in this World Cup. But that's all I have to say about that. Uganda, again, don't really know much about them as well. Hope they all do well. My thoughts is that these quote unquote lower tier teams, I hope they have a very spectacular tournament. I hope they get out there, give the big boys a run for their money, and just play all out cricket. And honestly, it's good for the game. that this World Cup has expanded into 20 teams. Is that the most teams ever played in a World Cup?
I believe so.
20, right? I love that they're doing this. I want more of this. If you keep giving these guys consistent chances, now that the T20 World Cup is every couple of years, I want to see more of these players. This format, I don't know how it'll pan out, but I hope that it's successful, that we get more of these guys coming in. So we have favorites in these teams like Uganda and Papua New Guinea and Scotland and Ireland and whatnot. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents on this team, Shar. Anything you want to say?
I think as the World Cup date comes closer, we'll do another episode just previewing the World Cup, and we'll have our predictions for top 4 teams, surprise players to look out for when that episode happens. But just for now, I think we did a pretty comprehensive job of going through the main points of every single team.
I think if you guys are have tuned in till this, an hour and 3 minutes into the podcast, do let us know each player from every squad that you would probably be looking out for. We'd love to hear your opinions. Honestly, we go through every single comment, so don't be afraid to dive deeper into that. Any emojis for the fans out there?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they should be like cards. Or no, wait, actually a chess pawn figure.
All right, sure.
Because like these players are like your pawns, and you strategize with them.
Strategize with them. Sure, I like that. If you guys have those emojis on your keypad, please leave them so we know that you made it to the really end of the podcast. Another great episode, Bashar. Thank you for taking your time out and sitting down and dissecting these teams with me. If you guys want more information on anything we've talked about, you can check the links below. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Cheers.